friends. I hope that this works. I tried to schedule the live earlier, kind of to motivate myself to make sure that I did it. I've been thinking about doing a live like all of last week, and I didn't. So I thought that I would schedule the live and it would make it easier for me to join at 11 o'clock, but I didn't know how to get into the stream. Is it called a stream? I didn't know how to access what I had scheduled, so I hope that this works. I hope that if you use my link where I posted it on Instagram, or if you joined from my community tab, I hope that it is one and the same. Anyway, I don't know, so I hope so. We are here to do a little catch up and a little reading. I'd like for us to do a couple of reading sprints. Hi, good morning. Welcome wherever you're joining from. Welcome. We are here to talk books. I'm going to share some books that came my way recently. I went to the library a few days ago and I'm going to share my library haul. But before I share my library haul, I must tell you that my local library branch closed, and getting to the next closest branch was quite the adventure last week. I walked and it was a much longer walk than I expected. I don't know. I put it in my Maps app and it said it would be about 37 minutes. And I was like, I could do that. That's fine, no problem. But it was cold. It had snowed the week before. And there's still a lot of snow on the ground and sidewalks that haven't been shoveled. And so there is like iced over, snow iced over, so like really icy patches to walk on, and I just wasn't prepared. So it took a really long time for me to get to the library, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. So my local library branch has closed for renovations, and they're expected to be closed for about a year, and I am just grieving the loss of my local library because the next closest branch is not, it doesn't feel local to me. A lot of the books that I get from the library are things that I go on the website, on the library website, and request. So they come from wherever within the library system, local library branch for me to collect. It was convenient. It's not convenient anymore. Changed my holds, the new holds that I have put on since then. I requested that they go to another library branch because that one I think is going to be easier for me to get to by car. So these are the books that I had put on hold for one reason or another, and these are the books that I took home from the library after my really long walk last week. It also didn't help that I had 11 hardcovers in my bag when I was walking to the library. That may have been a mistake. It may have been a mistake to leave home in like 15-degree weather with 11 hardcover books in my backpack to walk to an unknown location. That is totally my fault. Totally my fault. But it happened. Quite the adventure. So these are the books that I took home from the library last week. This is a new release. I have read everything that Laura Dave has published. And so when I hear that one of those authors that I have read everything they've written has released a new book, then I have to get it. So this is the first time I saw him by Laura Dave. And this is the sequel to The Last Thing He Told Me, which I read last year or 2 years ago. And I think this is the first time that I am reading a book that has been a series. Okay, so you know what? This is, yeah. So Laura Dave, she is the author of 800 Grapes, The First Husband, The Divorce Party, those books. A lot of those books were set in, well, I think all her books are set in either New York or California. A couple of books have been bi-coastal. Last year, I read her book, The Night We Lost Him. That was my book last year. The Last Thing He Told Me was the year before. the year before. And it's about her husband disappearing and her trying to find out what happened to him, whether he left by himself or he was taken for some reason. And she's left to care for her stepdaughter, if I'm correct. That was the premise of that book. That was the concept of that book. So this is a surprising sequel. I have never read a book from her that had a sequel. I've never read the sequel to one of her books. So I'm interested, I'm intrigued. I will not read the synopsis because I'm planning to read this very soon. I got a couple of books by Muriel Spark because Muriel Spark is one of the authors that I am trying to read all of her novels. So I got Territorial Rights and The Finishing School. Two novels, very different in size. Very different in size. So they're both hardcovers. This is what's probably what could probably be called a slim volume. It is 180 pages, so more novella length, and this is full novel. Territorial Rights is about 240 pages. Nice black and white picture of Muriel Spark. I love getting books from the library. Okay, let me preface this. I love getting brand new books. I love when the book comes to me and it looks like I'm the first reader and I'm reading it for free from the library. I love that. But I also really like these older copies that show that they have been used, that they have been read, that they have been loved, that they have been around for a long time. The first stamp here, up here, says June 22nd, 1979. That's a long time ago. That's a long time ago. This book is close to 50 years old. So the last library stamp in this was June 15, 2001. So we have library stamps dating from 1997. Someone checked it out July 9th, 1997. Someone else August 28th, 1998. September 28th, 1999, and June 15, 2001 is the last library stamp. There was a checkout written in pencil for July 6, 2001, which is cool. So this book is published by Coward McGann and Johagen. Jogan. I don't know how to pronounce that. Geohagen. I shouldn't have tried. I shouldn't have tried. That's the problem. I should not have tried. Um, First American edition, 1979. Territorial Rights. So Muriel Spark, two novels by that author. I also got a copy of The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is a book that is on one of my reading challenges. I need to read it for a challenge that goes from January to April. So far, I have 10 books for the challenge, and so far I've only finished 3, I think. 2 or 3. So I need to get with it. I have a lot of books by Black authors on my TBR for February, but I also have all these other things that I'm reading for. And so a lot of the books by Black authors that I am reading are books that I already own. I'm trying to read my shelves, mostly reading my shelves for Black History Month. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. I do have a few things out from the library for that purpose, but a lot of these books that have been coming in since the month started are books for other reasons. So The Secret History by Donna Tartt is one of those books that shows up on book lists all the time, and I've never read it. I read her book, The Goldfinch, and really enjoyed it, but I just hadn't picked this one up yet, so I will. My daughter and I started reading the Laura Ingalls Wilder memoir collection. We read together Little House in the Big Woods, and she absolutely loved it. And I was going to read Farmer Boy, but I think we're going to skip Farmer Boy and just go straight to Little House on the Prairie, just because my daughter is 6. And I tried explaining to her the concept that Farmer Boy doesn't deal with Laura's life. It deals with Almanzo's life. And when they grow up, Almanzo and Laura are going to get married. But I don't think I don't think she wants to follow that part of the story yet. Like she still thinks about Laura Ingalls Wilder as a little girl, and the idea that we're reading about her future husband as a boy, she does. I think she doesn't want to process. So we're gonna skip the Farmer Boy book, and we're going to continue with the Little House on the Prairie series because I think that's appropriate for a 6-year old. So I got this one out from the library, and we'll be starting it soon. Right now, we are working on Stuart Little by E.B. White. We started reading that one evening last week as we did our nightly reading time. I'll tell you more about that in an upcoming video. So, other things that I am reading The Robber Bride by Margaret Atwood. This is a buddy read with two friends that we read a lot of different kinds of books all the time. So, very interested to get into this one. I haven't read a lot of Margaret Atwood. I read The Handmaid's Tale and the sequel, and I've read her her response or retelling of The Tempest called Hag's Seed. I read that. That was actually one of the first things that I read from her. But I haven't read a ton of other things by Margaret Atwood. So we're reading this, just started it, and already really, really liking the writing. So those are books that are not Black history. None of those are by Black authors, right? Yeah. Okay. So here are some books that are about Black history. Current buddy read is The Vice President's Black Wife, The Untold Life of Julia Chin by Amrita Chakrabarti Myers. And I'm buddy reading this with my nonfiction ladies, Patrice, Doris, and Heidi. And we are having some complex, we're having a bit of a complex reaction to the book because it is nonfiction. It has a nonfiction premise about a Black woman who was in a relationship with a man who became vice president of the United States in the 1800s. And we approach this book as strictly nonfiction, but there are some challenges with the information that is being reported here because of the complete lack of historical data that surrounds the subject of this book. So, complex reactions, I'll tell you more about that a little later because, yeah. I don't want to go into a whole thing. I don't want to go into a whole thing. I'm just saying, I'm just letting you know my current read. So, this is one of the books I'm currently reading. Good morning, Emma. 73936. I didn't notice this live because I saw the other one. Okay. So thank you so much for coming on. So tell me what happened because I was trying to figure out what was going on with the live. So I tried to schedule a live and then I couldn't join it as the host. So there are two lives going on my channel right now. Is that what? Okay. Let me see if I can fix that. Visibility type live. Mhm. Um, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to fix it. So I scheduled a live on my phone. Scheduled a live on my phone. Oh. Okay. So I deleted the scheduled one. So hopefully that means I also deleted everything that was in it. Oops. Okay. I was going to say something negative about my abilities, but I won't. I won't. Good morning, Emmy. Thank you so much for being here. One thing, I'm going to go to the store in front of my house. Be right back in like 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, I'll be here. We'll be here until about midday. We'll be here for another 45 minutes or so. That is the plan. That is the goal. So thank you so much for coming on, Emmy, and letting us know, Emma. Emma, why am I calling you Emmy? Used to be Emmy. Today you're Emma. Thank you, Emma. Um, used to be used to be Emmy. Okay, see you later. We're gonna read. We're gonna talk. So I'm telling you about the books that I'm currently reading. Telling you about my current reads. So I showed you this one. This is a current buddy read, and I also started reading Theft by Abdul Razak Gurna, and this is Nobel Prize winner for literature from 2021 author, and he is from Zanzibar, Tanganyika, and the country now known as Tanzania. And so this is a really good story, but I'm having a hard time finishing. I feel like there's so much imagery. Like it is such a vivid story that I feel like I'm reading more than I actually am. I thought I was about 100 pages into this book, and when I looked, I was only at page 30 something. And I was like, I've been reading for days. But it is, like I said, just a very vivid story. We're reading about a lot of characters, and a lot of them are related. And so we start with one person and we're following their story, and then we get their relationship to someone else, and we start to follow that someone else. So we start reading about a young woman, and this is a very, I don't know if you'd call it traditional society, um, where there are arranged marriages. Let me say it like that. So let me not give descriptions. Let me just tell you the details. So we start reading about this young woman who her father arranges her marriage because he sees her getting attention from men that he doesn't want her to be involved with. So she's a young girl, a teenage girl, and the father arranges for her to be married to someone much older. And so we follow this young woman into her marriage, and when she eventually has a child, we we start following her son. And then we know that before she was married to her husband had another wife and another son. So we start to follow the brother, the half brother. And we follow him for a little while. And then we come back to following the brother of the young woman that we started following. And as he grows up, we're doing a little bit of a coming of age association. And as he gets to the point now where we can follow him because he is old enough to have, I guess, interesting life and a lot of interactions with people outside of his home, we start to follow him even more, and we get his more extended family. So his relationship with his brother, who's a little older, his mother, who has moved away, and other people in their lives. And then we stop following him altogether, and we start following someone else who is going to be working in that household. And we know that there's a point where all of these stories will come to a head, and we will know why we've been following all of them. I'm assuming because this is a Nobel Prize winning author. But there's just so much detail. There is just so much detail, and it's so vivid. It is just so like bright and imaginative, and you feel like you are actually knowing real people who live right now in Zanzibar, who are these people. And so I'm just here for it. So I'm enjoying it. I'm not rushing it. Today's November November. Today is February 9th, and I haven't finished a book yet since the beginning of the month. And that would be frightening considering that last month I finished 14 books. And if I haven't yet finished a book on February 9th, it means that I'm not on track to meet those same number targets. But I'm not. I'm not as much concerned with the number of books as I am with the quality of the books that I'm reading. So in February, I want to read things that center Black life and Black history. And if it means that I read slower, if it means that I read different kinds of things, that's perfectly in order. So I am enjoying this and I'm not rushing it. At some point I will finish. I was I was about to mark it on my Goodreads as having finished, but I haven't finished. I haven't finished. So that's my current read, current read, and current read. But I'm not reading any of these today because number one, well, I do need to read a couple of chapters of this for my buddy read check-in, but I'll do that later, like right before I leave the message, because I like to do that. And I am waiting, I think, for a couple of people to check in on the last section that I read on in this book, so I can't read another one yet because I've been having some real strong reactions to the books. I want to, as soon as I finish reading the section, to leave my message, and I can't do it now. So, and this one is, I don't need to read it right now. I don't. I could probably read it right now and do that in the sprint, but I won't. I won't. I'm gonna look to read something else. So I'm going to pull my TBR card and we're going to start something new together. So let me know. Emmy said, call me Emmy if you want. She's not back. She'll be back soon. So I'm going to look for a book to start in our reading sprints. And we're going to do a reading sprint from 11:25, which is in about a minute or so. And we're going to read for 20 minutes. So we'll come back at 11:45. I will show you what I'm reading. And if you're also joining me to read, let me know in the comments. Type it down below. Let me know what you're reading. If you are joining later, if you're watching this as a replay and you are using me as your background to hang out while you read, I would love to hear from you as well. What time you're watching this, what it is that you're reading, and yeah, all of those things. So let's get a TBR card. I'm going to be really lazy. I'm going to be really lazy and pull instead of get up. Because I got a blanket around my legs. It is really cold in New York. It's been so cold the last couple of weeks. The snow that fell, a week and a few days ago, longer. The snow that fell 2 weeks ago. It's been 2 weeks already. Yeah, because it wasn't last weekend. The snow was the weekend before. So the snow fell 2 weeks ago and it is still packed up outside, like piled up outside. It hasn't gone anywhere. The temperature has not been high enough for any significant melting to happen. So it's just like lingering. It's just like so cold outside. So here are some things that I could read. I do want to finish this one. So I think this is what I'm going to read today. Black-owned bookstores. The Revolutionary Life of the Black Bookstore by Char Adams. So this is what I'm going to be reading. It's 11:25. I'm setting a 20-minute timer starting now. Let me know in the comments what you're reading. 20 minutes starts now. See you at 11:45. Oh, you know what? I have to change my thumbnail. So let me do that right now.
How compatible are you?
Well, hi Emma, welcome back. Yes, we're reading until 11:45, so we have about 7 minutes 20 seconds by my clock. Let me know what you're reading. We have about 2 minutes. Okay, so I just read up to page 23 of Black Owned: The Revolutionary Life of the Black Bookstore by Char Adams. That's the author right there. And she describes herself as a young black girl with a disability. And she talks about her reason for wanting to do research on black owned bookstores in the United States. Some of the things that she is uncovering as she's doing research, things that she didn't know and didn't know that she didn't know. And I like that. So the synopsis says, in Black Owned, Char Adams celebrates the living history of Black bookstores, packed with stories of activism, espionage, violence, community, and perseverance. Black Owned starts with the first Black owned bookstore, which an abolitionist opened in New York in 1834. And after the bookshop's violent demise, Black book lovers carried on its cause. In the 20th century, civil rights and Black power activists started a Black bookstore boom nationwide. Malcolm X gave speeches in front of the National Memorial African Bookstore in Harlem, a place dubbed Speaker's Corner, and later Black bookstores became targets for FBI agents, police, and racist vigilantes. Still, stores continue to fuel Black political movements. So, Char Adams is an NBC News reporter or former news reporter, and she's also worked for People magazine. Her writing on race and identity has appeared in the New York Times, the New Republic, Oprah Daily, Vice, Teen Vogue, and Bustle. She's a proud Philadelphia native and now lives in the Dallas Fort Worth area. So I wanted to read this ever since I heard about it. I saw it on some best of 2025 book lists at the end of last year, and I put it on my TBR. I was gonna buddy read it with some friends, and um, we decided to read it separately instead of as a group. So one of the friends has already finished, and another friend is going to start, but I guess I'm right in the middle. So I wanted to start it today, and I'm glad that I did because I will continue. 23 pages in, and I could have kept reading. I could have kept reading, but I wanted to come back on and just talk with you a little bit. Um, a little bit. I won't be able to hang out too long because I have some catching up things to do. My daughter was off school on Friday, and we were all home for the entire weekend. We have not had a weekend where we've all been home together and didn't go anywhere at all, maybe ever. Because generally we go to church. If it's even, we go to church or we go to visit my mother in law. And this weekend we did none of those things. Um, we did none of those things. We were just home. It was just so cold, and we really didn't have to go. So we didn't go. we had planned we were planning to have family over for the weekend. And so we had kind of canceled some other things that we were planning to do. And so when the family plans fell through, we just like found ourselves with a lot of time that had been scheduled for something that was no longer happening. And so we were just free, and we enjoyed being home together. We have not done that. I don't think we've ever done that. 3 full days of just being at home. Yesterday, I went out briefly to grab some things for the Super Bowl watching, because we watch the Super Bowl. We did. Um, we're My husband's a big sport fan. Um, Last year, his team was in the Super Bowl. This year, we neither of us really had a team that we were supporting, but we were still watching very avidly. And because I used to be a Patriots fan, when Tom Brady was a Patriot, I used to watch. I used to say that I was a Patriot fan. Since Brady left and Gronkowski left, I haven't really watched the Patriots like ever. So I said I would support them in the Super Bowl. That I wasn't going so well. So my daughter had asked me, she said, "Who are we supporting? Who are we rooting for?" So I told her. we're rooting, you and me, we're rooting for the Patriots, and Daddy's rooting for the Seahawks because he said he liked the story, the quarterback story. And as the game went on, as the game progressed, my daughter said, "Are we still rooting for the Patriots? Because they're not doing so well." So eventually she changed because she roots for the winner. And I think that that's just such a great attitude. It's such a great attitude. There is a lot to say for commitment and loyalty and all of that. But when you really are not that committed, why not follow? Why not follow? Why not follow, progress, prosperity? So you wait to see how the team is doing before you decide who you're supporting. That's what my daughter did. So that's what's going on. I shared with you some of the books that I am reading, my current reads, my current buddy reads, plus this one that I just started and I'm loving. And I shared with you my books that came from the library. These five. I have I made a TBR video. Didn't I make a TBR video? Did I make a dedicated TBR video or did I just tell you my TBR for February in my live, not live, in my vlog last weekend? These are the books that I'm looking at reading. These are the other books that are on my TBR for February. This is a brand new release. So the publisher has gifted me this one. This is the Johnson 4 by Christina Hammonds Reed. And it is historical fiction, music historical fiction in the United States. And I think maybe loosely based on the Jackson 5 dynasty legacy. I didn't look at the synopsis because I want to read it. I want to read it soon. Like I said, it's on the TBR. I have Beyonce's Mommy's memoir, Matriarch by Tina Knowles. This is her memoir published last year. And I had wanted to read it last year. I just didn't get to it. Another nonfiction, The Grimkeys, The Legacy of Slavery in an American Family by Carrie K. Greenidge, I'm sorry, by Carrie K. Greenidge. This is another Black author. I didn't show you Christina Hammonds Reed's picture. That's her. She's a beautiful young woman. And I showed you Tina Knowles' picture, right? So those are some of the books that I have on my TBR for February. Um, Vanessa Miller. Vanessa Miller. Always confuse Vanessa Miller's name with Vanessa Riley's name. Vanessa Miller is a very prolific African American author. And I have two books from her. This was an arc that the publishers had gifted me a couple of years ago. And this is one that I read. No, didn't read. This is one that I bought for myself. And I bought this book because the publication date is my birthday. So this book was published on September 5, a few years ago. So I was looking up a book that was published on my birthday to buy. And when I saw this by an author that I love, I've loved following her on Instagram. So I have two books from the same author on my TBR. And I did that. I did that a couple of times last month. So I think that's one of the reasons that I wanted to try to repeat that kind of process again in February. A different author this time. The publishers had gifted me this. This is Quicksand by Nella Larson. She's the author of Passing. I read Passing and I loved it. So I think this is probably maybe just as well known or maybe a little less well known than Passing. I think Nella Larson is known for Passing. Quicksand is her other novel that you'll probably read if you're exploring her works. So this one is the other one. And I want to read it. I've had this for a couple of years now and I haven't yet read it. Publishers also gifted me this one sometime last year. This is Great Expectations. The author is Vincent Cunningham. And that's his picture right there. There's no picture of Nella Larson. I'm sorry, that's why I'm not showing you that picture because there is none to show you. This is historical. Is it historical fiction? Not really. It's more contemporary, right? Okay, yeah. This is contemporary. This is probably loosely based on the Obama presidency, Obama administration. We're reading about a young man who sees a senator. He first hears the senator from Illinois speak, and he feels moved to become a part of that whole experience of of working on the president on the senator's presidential campaign. So this is loosely based on President Obama's legacy of let me say that again. This is probably loosely based on Senator. Okay, this book is probably, it seems like, loosely based on President Obama's historic rise from the senator of Illinois to the White House, and how he inspired a lot of young people to want to become involved in politics and specifically to work on his campaign, work to elect him as president. So I got this last year and I've wanted to read it ever since. And I haven't yet. So I will. This is a Newbery Medal winner, winner of the Newbery Medal. No, okay. So the author, Christopher Paul Curtis, is a Newbery Medal winner. I think this is just another of his books. I don't think this one won a Newbery Medal. This is The Mighty Miss Malone by Christopher Paul Curtis. This is about a 12-year-old girl from Gary, Indiana. She is the smartest student in her class. She's told by her teachers that she's destined for a special path in life. Her older brother, Jimmy, however, is no angel, but he can sing like one. And when he does, people stop to listen. And then the Great Depression hits Gary, Indiana. And it's about their family and how they traverse the period of the Great Depression. The Great Depression is a period of American history that I don't read too much about. And Christopher Paul Curtis, I think, does a smashing job of just bringing you into a time and place and giving you young children characters who are good at explaining some of the things that are happening around them. So I will try to read that this month. And then this is a book that I am reading. So most of those are books by so most of these, all of these are Black history reading. All of these are Black history reading, and because that's what I'm centering this month. But my daughter had chosen this as the next book that she wanted to read in our reading time together at night. So this is what we are currently reading, Stuart Little by E.B. White. I could read this with her. I could also read this with her. I will at some point, but I am letting her choose. So even though we are focusing on Black history, I'm letting her choose some of the books that she wants to read in our time together, because that is our precious time where she gets to have a say. She gets to have a say. She questions my authority sometimes. Why do I have to do what you say? So there are very few times when she gets to pick, and I will always let her choose when it comes to reading, because that was how my mom helped helped to prompt my attention and my interest in reading and reading widely. So, those are my bookish thoughts and my bookish developments today and for the past few days. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Emma, I am so excited that you are doing your project along with me. You don't have to read when I read, you can do whatever you need to. It will be great if you are reading and we can talk about what you're reading, but you don't have to read when I read, because I don't always read at 11:25 to 11:45 during the days. As a matter of fact, most days when I'm not on live with you, I would not be reading at that time. But today I had some time to set aside and I thought I would do it. So, my plan is to be here again tomorrow, and I will let you know if that is happening. I will probably put a post on the community tab, and maybe I'll try it again to schedule the live and see if it will work better tomorrow. If I'll figure it out and I'll be able to do it. But thank you so much for joining me today. We spent an hour together. We did some reading. I felt like it was very productive. We had a little book chat, and I got to share with you some things that are on my reading cart and I'm very excited about, and brief thoughts on some things that I am currently reading. So, would love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know if this was helpful. If you're watching this as a replay, let me know what you read during the reading sprint time. And of course, I look forward to seeing you when we come back here to do this again. And so until I see you, whether on another live or in an upcoming video, I look forward to chatting with you in either format. So until then, happy reading. Bye. Bye, Emma73936, also known as Emmy Cats. Have a great afternoon or night, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. See you later.